So you can see now we're here set up with our spodding station set in front of us. We've got our large open top bucket full of our spod mix. To the next of it, we've got our water bowl for us to be able to clean our hands. And on the back, we've got our towel so we can dry ourselves down from the water bucket. You may notice that I've got a casting glove on now. This will help protect my finger from the rough braid as I'm casting and cushion my hand from the strength and energy of the cast as it's at through the rod. So before we start, we must make sure a few things are ready. Make sure the reel seat is tight, the clutch is locked down nicely, and the spigot joints are close together. Bring the spod in long, as we said before. Hold the spod by the fins and fill the spod 2/3 full using your thumb as a depth gauge to make sure it's correctly filled. Leave the spod in the bucket, clean your fingers in the dip bowl and dry your hands on the towel. Bring the spod out and get the spod to the correct drop, which is between the spigot and the first eye on the second section. Line yourself up at your target and launch the spod. Now I've got the line clipped up on the spod and I'm holding the rod high so that when the spod line runs out and we hit the metal line clip, that the energy of the cast is taken by the rod and absorbs the shock of the spod hitting the line clip. Once the spod's been out there for 5 or 10 seconds, give it a little short nudge just so that the spod tipples to help eject the ground bait out of the spod, and then lift the line off the surface to bring the spod in on the plane. At this point, with the rod held high, with the butt in your hip here, reel smoothly and steadily to keep the spod skimming along the surface of the water. By doing this, you reduce the amount of shock loading that you put into the rod and into your arm, making spodding a lot simpler. Again, hold the spod by the fins. Compress the spod mix down, clean your fingers, dry your fingers, set yourself up, line up at your target, fire, hold the rod high one-handed, hit the clip and allow the rod to come down, allowing the spod to settle for 10 seconds or so. Give the spod a nudge to try and coax that spod mix to fall out the spod. Leave it another 5 or 10 seconds. Lift the line from the surface of the water by zapping the rod up quickly and start retrieving the spod in a smooth, steady manner. During this whole process, at some stage, you'll notice that the braid will start getting quite unwieldy. It will come off in big hoops and start getting caught round the eyes during the cast. This is what's known as wind knotting. And there are 2 easy steps to help reduce that. Firstly, slightly underfill the spool by about 3 mil to help minimise the amount of spools of braid that get pulled off. And secondly, pour water over the spool to help dampen the line down. Again, this will dramatically reduce the wind knotting. Now, one of the questions a lot of people will ask is how much spod do you put in? Now this is a very tricky question, but you have to try and understand how many fish are in your lake. So if it's a low stocking density, you don't want to put too much food in because it's easy to overfeed them. If it's a high stock density lake, then a small amount of bait will quickly be demolished by a hungry shoal. Feel your way in. You can spod regularly, little and often, like match anglers do. This way you can feel the way the fish are responding. If you put a massive pile of bait in and the fish just aren't up for it that day, you can kill the swim pretty quickly. So it's better to do a little and often baiting approach. Every time you catch a fish, 2 spods over the top, keep the bait going in. Some people get frightened at the sound of a spod, will put fish off. To be honest, on a lot of modern day ticket carp fishery, the sound of the spod is like us ringing the dinner bell and the carp actually get attracted to it. So don't ever be intimidated by having a go at spodding. It's a great way of feeding your swim very, very accurately. Get it right and you'll have some great results.